In the time it takes to finish one stiff drink, me and my special guest, Sarah Nickerson, are going to discuss what gives her the right to talk about boredom. We're going to swap some stories about combating boredom. And we're going to find out if one stiff drink makes you better at telepathy. So stay tuned for this episode of The Boondock Perspective.
Where class is optional.
It's yet another carefree Maine evening, and you're listening to The Boondock Perspective, where each week, two individual perspectives will converse, laugh, and imbibe. Tune in each week, and you might actually kind of learn something. This week's special guest is Sarah Nickerson.
Hi.
You want to give a little bit of background about yourself so the people at home kind of know who you are?
Sure. So I grew up in Winterport. I went to Hamden Academy here in Maine.
That's close to us right now.
Yep. I graduated from the New England School of Communications and eventually meandered my way through life and have found myself on local radio here in the Bangor area.
Local radio. Can you shout the station? Are you allowed to do that?
Z107.3 WBZN.
Anybody who has heard that before? I'm sure there's a lot of them.
There's somebody out there.
somebody in the state of Maine.
Bangor's number one hit music station, Z107.3. Do, 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 do.
It's like you've got that down.
I hear it in my sleep. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. I have a lot of those moments where I do something so repetitively every day that you start dreaming about it, and that's when you know you've done something too much. Does that like haunt you, or is that like a really prideful moment or prideful thing?
Honestly, it's sort of like when you have kids and they're around you screaming, and you just get so deadened to that, noise that it's like it's just another thing that you can kind of take out of your brain. Because it's just automatic, you just kind of naturally ignore them. You just naturally ignore those things that you say, but it just kind of comes out of your mouth. So it's making room for other things because it doesn't stay in there. You don't give that energy to it as much as the other things that you're learning that you're
It becomes
trying to take
second
in.
nature, and everything's just pre-go with the
You
flowing.
said that way better than I did.
Yeah, and in 6 words. Before we start talking about boredom and how we've both combated it, because it's something that I think we're both pretty familiar with. We have to figure out whether or not one stiff drink of alcohol makes you better at telepathy.
Okay.
Now, I thought about this very long.
I can
figure out how
tell.
to make this happen.
I can tell.
And by that, I mean I stood over and grabbed this and came back.
I saw that.
I'm going to think of something. I'm going to make it one word. I'm going to make it random. And then you're going to try and decipher what I'm figuring out just by looking at me.
Oh, I got to look at you.
Yeah. Oh, you don't have to look at me.
I don't want to look at you.
You can figure it out. So I'm going to write something down here.
Okay.
You can't listen to my marker. This way you don't know what I'm spelling. Ignore my handwriting.
I'm totally listening.
All right. You can't see this.
No, I can't.
Right?
No.
What did I write down? I'm going to think about it really hard.
Okay.
The silence is killing the viewers.
Okay.
Not really.
But. All right. Can I tell you?
Yeah. And then
am I going to find out?
I wrote it down. Yeah. So if you're right, I'll tell you when you say it out loud. I'll show you what it is.
Okay. So my first inkling was fish.
Fish. Mm-hmm. Any specific type of fish?
The fish in your fish tank.
The fish in my fish tank. No, it was squirrels. But
oh my god, no!
But you got. I'm pretty happy with that.
Okay, there was like an animal.
At least it was a living thing, right?
Okay.
So I'm gonna say you were relatively close the first time.
Okay.
That being said, I'm gonna give you the opportunity to do it to me.
Okay.
And we'll see whether or not you can communicate telepathically.
Okay.
Rather than just read.
All right. I might burst a blood vessel in my eye, but I will try to give you the vibes. All right. I already got it. Okay, I'm going to write it down.
All right, I'm not going to listen. I'm just going to keep talking so I don't hear what the marker's doing. I feel like that would give it away a little bit too much.
Now I'm paranoid.
How rambly do I sound?
Now I feel like I'm spelling this wrong. I don't know.
Okay, I didn't show the viewers. Oh. No, I'm just kidding. It doesn't matter. That's weird. Okay.
Sorry.
That can't be it because I don't think that would be it. One word, right?
Could be. You're telepathic. You should know this.
Yeah. No. The question is whether or not you can communicate telepathically.
Oh, okay. Do you want me to say?
I still got it. Mimosas.
No.
All right. Well, that's what was in my head.
Mimosa. It was button. Did I spell that wrong?
No, you spelled it. Oh, I think you spelled it right. Don't ask me.
I'm like looking at it too long now. I can't.
It's like you spell the word office 1,000 times. You don't know how to spell office.
Right?
So
It all looks weird.
Far.
Okay.
I was
Mimosa, huh?
Yeah, I know. I got it, and I was like,
Mimosa.
it can't be it because we're drinking alcohol. It'd be too obvious. And then for some reason, I was like, no, I'm getting a real mimosa vibe.
Now it's all I can think about.
It does sound
Mimosa vibe.
right now, we're drinking whipped vodka and apple cider. When this was recorded, it was October. So it totally fit. It totally fit the season.
Yeah.
And it's delicious. My
It is
girlfriend
very
introduced
good.
this to me.
Really?
But when she makes it, she puts a sugar cinnamon
Hey.
thing around the rim.
Let's cheers to your girlfriend.
Yeah, she knows what's up.
Good job.
Love you.
Kisses.
Kisses. So at the end of this podcast, we'll revisit your telepathy and see if you got better at the end of it.
Okay.
All right. Now let's talk about boredom.
Let's do that.
You have been bored in your life.
I have.
I have been bored in my life.
Wow.
I think I can start the conversation by saying I am one of these very few people who, when I am bored, I am not a person I want to be. I am like, I get relatively, this is about to take a turn. We just went from like the most goofy thing and I'm about to talk about depression.
It's all about honesty, right?
Yeah.
You gotta be true.
When I'm bored, I'm depressed and I'm no fun to be around. And it's like this endless cycle of just not enjoying my life.
Right.
Which you'd think if I'm not so busy with work all the time and I'm not so busy with my side projects, I have time to myself, it'd be nice to be able to go and I could go do whatever I want. But the fact of the matter is, if I'm not like having a certain amount of stress in my life, I'm just like not happy. And it's just like something, I don't know. Is physiological a word? And does it fit there?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Physiologically wrong with me?
I don't know if that's the way you would use it, but I can totally sympathize with that because I think when you grow up how we did, where you lived in a rural place and maybe friends were just so far away that you were kind of spending your time on your own, you get those kind of thoughts of, and it's also where we live. Maine can be pretty dark physically, for quite a long time. And
winter comes with its issues as well. I mean, we're combating a lot here. I mean, on top of just being kind of secluded from the rest of the world or even just other towns, we also combat, vitamin D deficiencies is really big.
I have
here.
that.
I'm sure I have it. I haven't checked.
Yeah.
It's like 80% of Mainers have vitamin D deficiency, something like that. But then there's, the SAD, seasonal affective disorder.
Yeah.
That comes with fall. And then winter is just, poetically, it's the season of the dead,
Yeah, everything's dead and it's quiet.
It's tough up here.
Yeah.
So when you're dealing with all that and then you throw on having nothing to do, I guess it does kind of make sense that we might get a little
down.
Yeah, just a little down in the dumps.
Family history, I think, certainly has something to do with that. Also, how you grew up. I can see that definitely being a factor in us going into creative things and actually having inspiration in something and being able to act on it. So when you have the tools to draw a picture or pick up an instrument and start learning it, these are ways to combat that boredom, but also find inspiration in the quiet, So
I have self-diagnosed myself as an empath, which means I'm just like hyper empathetic. I'd like to do an entire episode on this at some point because it's kind of close to me and it's not a lot of people know what the deal is.
Interesting.
But yeah, I'm hyper empathetic. I'm easily able to relate to things. But one of the qualities of an empath is that they are like replenished.
Renourished.
They're replenished in nature. Like they can do whatever they want,
Yeah.
and they don't really notice how stressed they are. But then when they go outside, maybe they take their shoes off, and they walk on the beach, or they go just lean against a tree and breathe fresh air. They get calm and they get relaxed.
Yeah.
And
I can totally identify with
so
that.
that's me also.
Yeah. I have a hard time when I'm around a lot of people. And some of it's the stress on myself, but feeling the stress from other people sometimes can really like wear me out. And I can totally identify with that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes me a day to recover from being around a lot of people. And
Honestly, you might like the book that I picked up on, that where I decided I was an empath. I used it to figure out what it was. That's a really large part of it. You might find the chapter kind of fascinating. But anyway,
well, it's funny that we're talking about this because I'm actually becoming more spiritual and becoming more in touch with maybe the things I've been avoiding to learn about myself or maybe to accept about myself. And some of that is sort of these things that are hard for us to understand, but I know I've experienced, you know, and I'm opening the door to that, like within the past couple of weeks. So it's kind of interesting.
Couple weeks?
Yeah.
Oh,
So it's
this is brand
interesting
new.
that we're talking about this.
Well, if you unlock inner peace, come back on the podcast and we'll talk about that.
Not there yet. Getting there.
Got a couple
White light.
80, 90 years. I'm sure that's a tough process. So with all of this being said and kind of out in the open, I think one of the ways that we relate the most is we keep ourselves busy.
Certainly.
We consistently have other projects going on, or we're helping other people, or we're investing our time or our resources, just trying to do something else. Maybe not necessarily fighting against the mundane of life, but making it so like you live just not a wild life, but like a more big life. Like you do more
big
things.
life.
A broader, wider life. You just touch more things and you do more things.
A breadth of life.
You live there's a word I'm looking for. It's not coming to me.
I think breadth might be the word you're looking
Breadth?
for. Breadth. So BREADTH. So that's a variety. So you experience many experiences. I know I've had a lot of interests in science stuff, medicine, technology, art. I feel like I have a lot of interests, but I also don't hold myself back to maybe any predisposition of how I think I do with something. It's more of, I'm going to do what I can, get as far as I can, and if there's a point when someone's going to stop me, they'll stop me, you know? And I've come to those places throughout my careers, and that's why I move along to something else.
So you've held a lot of hats.
I have, yeah. Yep,
Let's
a lot.
let's put the viewers on that journey.
Okay. Oh my God, where do we start? So I guess things started when I was a kid and I was at home and away from my friends. I really started drawing more inward when I was in middle school, and so I started really getting into music and like older music like The Doors and The Who. I love The Who and rock operas and then Pink Floyd. And so really being inspired by music, learning music through school, but also teaching myself how to play guitar and piano. Eventually buying like the old school 4-track analog Tascam recorder and recording my own stuff and creating my own lyrics and really building my voice. And for so long, I don't really think I had that voice where I could just say what I wanted to say, like in a conversation. And so being able to do music and also art was a way for me to express myself, but feel like I was contained in expressing myself and really taking the time to understand what I felt and how I wanted to communicate that. So with that experience through middle school and high school, I thought, well, I really like recording, and I really like the idea of being a music producer. And so I'll go to school for audio engineering, and I'll become a music producer, and I'll be able to be like the mother hen for bands and help them record their album. And the sound that everybody hears is the sound I helped create, that, through my wisdom and my own vision, these bands went from playing clubs to being heard all around the world. And so that was my perspective going into audio engineering.
So you kind of went from somebody who couldn't vocalize what they wanted to say to trying to help other people vocalize what they wanted to say.
So maybe sort of avoiding what I wanted and maybe helping people with what I couldn't do myself, because apparently they can go out and do it. And if I can help them, then maybe there's some satisfaction in that for me. I'm just realizing this as we're talking. This is fun.
Like 14 minutes in, this was a good idea. This is fun.
Wow, this is going to change my life, is it not?
I'm going to help you achieve eternal peace.
Apparently. I'm almost there.
Just walls shattered.
Oh, my God.
Jump through it.
Yeah, so that's, what I was thinking I would go to school for. And I was going to go to UMass Lowell. And you had to go in the music program in order to go into audio engineering. And so I did the music theory test. I went down to Mass. I did the music theory test, and I passed. But then I did the audition, and I failed. And it was such a failure, Like, that was the way it was supposed to be. I was supposed to go there so I could, go into audio engineering and really start my career. And I felt so pressured to have a career and to know what it was, Mm-hmm. Do you understand that?
I think one of the largest, so this is a conversation for another day, I think, but to summarize, I'm one of the people that kind of think, like, it's okay to not know what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I hate that one of the things you're supposed to do in order to graduate high school is fill a college application. Like, you don't, some English classes in high school you won't pass unless you fill a college application. And I just think that if at 18 you're not sure if college is for you, or you don't know what career you want to go down, you shouldn't be forced down anything, because at the end of the day, it's like, it's your life and you're going to end up where you're supposed to be.
Right.
So I think I do understand what you're saying, because there are so many pressures on me now, me when I was in high school, even me in middle school, trying to figure out where I wanted to go and what I wanted to be. And I definitely felt that pressure, and I know everybody else I was with
who hasn't felt that pressure.
So
I think, yeah. So I mean, so I failed, and I felt discouraged. But my plan B was, well, I'll get to UMO and I'll do the music department there and then transfer to UMass Lowell, because it was in the same system where I could just transfer. And so I went to UMO first semester, and thank God that I did, because I took like 5 music courses and 1 anthropology course, just a random, I'll take anthropology. And I did so terrible at my music courses, and my best grade was the anthropology course. And I was way more interested in the anthropology course than I was in the music course.
I don't even know what anthropology stands for.
So anthropology is like...
I'm really uneducated, apparently.
Anthropology is like digging up bones and learning about where humans come from and stuff like that.
I don't know where my brain was. I know exactly what that is.
And it's funny because I'm thinking about it now, and the first job that I ever said I wanted when I was a kid was to be an archaeologist, was to be one of those people digging up bones and finding old civilizations and all that stuff. I was really into that because I think it was Jurassic Park, like around that time, when that movie came out, that I was like, I want to be a dinosaur scientist, which is a paleontologist. I know, whatever. So after that one semester of UMO, I was like, I don't fit here. I don't belong here. Like, there's just too many people. Nobody knows me. I lived off campus, and it was just like, I don't want to go to school to be a musician. I want to go to school to be an audio engineer. And here I am taking all these music courses and doing piano stuff, and it was just like, this doesn't jive. So I took the next semester off and just worked. And that's when I found New England School of Communications right in Bangor.
Right down the road.
Yep, in
from
Husson.
UMO, yeah.
Now it's part of Husson University.
Also where I went. I'll just throw that out there. That's also where I went to school. So.
Oh, well, of course you did. So I started going there, and it was a smaller school when I was going there. I don't know what it's like, in more modern times, but I felt like this is the place where I belong, and I feel
good.
like
A few people was like really good professor time.
I feel like I can totally succeed at this, and I don't feel any pressure, and the teachers are cool, and I was totally down. And so I went through and got my degree, and then I had a baby. So I had a baby before I even graduated, and that's when the whole becoming a music producer thing was kind of like, oh shit, like that's not gonna happen. Like, at least not right now, because I'd have to go to Nashville or New York or LA and take my baby with me and work for no money, and like that's not gonna work. So I had a baby, and I think one of my good qualities that I can kind of identify in myself is I always want to know what the next step is. And if it's not figured out yet, like I need to prep and plan so it's a smooth transition and my brain is okay with it, or else I'm high anxiety and then all the emotions and nobody wants that. So after I graduated and got my degree, I decided to go into tattooing. I really liked art. It was something I could do close to home. I would have to apprentice for a little bit and just happened to come across the perfect situation where someone was looking for an apprentice. I had the money, and I could get going. And so I started going into tattooing. It was a newer business, and I think one of the stats is only 1 in 10 new businesses survive their first year or something like that. Yeah. And this was not one of those businesses. And I could see it kind of going downhill. As much as I wanted to tattoo, it wasn't the kind of income I needed to have a family and all that. So when I saw this business going not quite the direction I wanted it to go, that's when I decided, thinking ahead, I got to find a way to get in the medical field because that's what's going on around here in Bangor. That's what's going to give me a good income for my family. So went back to school for another school thing. I went back to school for 3 months to become a phlebotomist EKG person. And through that program, I got hired with the Red Cross Blood Services, where I was going around and taking blood from people and traveling all over the state and meeting people from everywhere. Me putting a needle in them and getting all that blood, and it's kind of freaky deaky. So I did that for a couple years.
For a few years, or for a couple years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just traveling and putting needles in people.
Traveling, putting needles in people. And there came a point when I was like, I need to move up in the ladder. And so I tried a couple times to get hired in a supervisor position. It wasn't going to work out. And so by this time I had my second daughter, and I said, well, if I can stay in the medical field and just stay here in Bangor and not be all over the state, then it'll be easier for my family. And so that's when I started working at St. Joe's. And I kind of moved around in there a little bit and ended up in the gastro department with some wonderful people. Did that for a couple years.
God, how much of this do you have left?
A lot of talking. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
No, it's just like so much.
It is. It is the longest story in the world, and it's like, it just keeps going. That's the crazy thing.
So from St. Joe's, where were you?
So St. Joe's, I took a part-time position at WKIT, Stephen King's Rock and Roll Station here in Bangor.
Radio station, yeah.
And so I worked part-time there and full-time at St. Joe's for a little while, with my 2 daughters and my husband, and we're being a family and, just trying to make ends meet. And Then a full-time position came up at the radio station, and I took a promotions director position there.
And that's kind of been the field you've been in since?
So from there,
We're going to keep going.
I know. From there, I went over to Sutherland Weston, marketing communications. Spent some time there really getting to know how marketing works. And I felt like the great thing about Sutherland Weston is you're kind of like put in there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no like, this is how you do it. It's sort of like, this is what we got. This is how you can start getting that done, and we need it done by, you know, blah. And so it really gets you on your toes, really brings out that grit, and
love it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I learned so much from every single job that I had, but I feel like that job really gave me some perspective on what I'm interested in. And really, like, all these jobs, I had some interest in it, but I think that's one that really has resonated with me and stays with me. And so I left there to have my son, Jack, and started at Bangor's #1 hit music station, Z107.3, doing a morning show with a fun guy and doing a lot of stuff with the station and my family, and we live, you know, really close, and it's really cool. All the things I've experienced and the meandering that I've done to get here, you know, and I feel like this position kind of combines a lot of things that I've learned along the way, either through procedure, professionalism, straight up marketing, you know, and a lot of it stems from that interest that you grew when you were bored and you were trying to find a way to satisfy something in yourself to be proud of, something that whittled away the boredom, but also gave you that self-satisfaction. The end.
Never had someone do that before. I love a good sound effect, though. I might use that. I was like, I need to be quiet in case I ever want to use that sound effect later.
Oh my God.
So that long ass story.
I am so sorry.
For the point of.
I practiced that like 8 times. I'm kidding.
Oh my God. So that long story to get you to a point where things worked out. Like people should kind of have faith that things are going to work out. People should kind of know, like, hey, it's going to fall into place. Like,
so it might not be what your plan A is going to be, but sometimes applying for that part-time radio position that I had no business in applying for opened up the doors to my career that I might be in for the rest of my life. I don't know. Was it my decision to say, I don't have experience in radio, you know? I'm not an interesting person. I still don't think that. But was it my decision? Ultimately, no. That's somebody else's decision to decide whether I suck at radio and they don't want me on the airwaves. And so, yeah, put yourself out there. Stick your neck out. You don't know if you don't try. And you don't know if you don't ask. Amen.
Well said. Hold on. I got to pick up to cheers. There we go. You're trying to cheers a cup that's just on the table.
I'm like, I'll cheers myself.
I'll just push the cup towards you.
We need more booze.
So, yeah, I can't. This is going down a little sweet. I recommend this to just about anybody. Whipped vodka and apple cider is like.
It doesn't even taste
no alcohol
alcoholic.
in this, but it's
I'm glad I have to go to work tomorrow morning.
Definitely got alcohol in it. So, I don't have a long story like that. I think I have a story that's kind of.
You're not old like I am. And
I disagree.
And you.
I don't think you're old.
I feel like you set yourself on a trajectory that is
very early on.
Yes.
Yeah, I was in 8th grade.
Yeah. So I think you had a hyper focus, and the way that you build on that is through business. So your talent is this stuff, and you grow with relationships and building. that business. That's how I kind of
I mean, you're pretty much
telepathically think of it.
Well, okay. I don't know if that's how
You're
it
like,
works.
no, actually, you're wrong, Sarah.
Well, it's pretty much what intuition is, though, right? Maybe, maybe not. Actually, that probably sound like a bumbling idiot.
Nope.
Yeah, I from a really young age, I was like writing stories. But they were stupid dumb, super dumb. Like first grade, like
Of course.
the flower fell off of the windowsill, and then the flower broke, and it's like the end. Like that's just always who I was. And I would write stories, and then like in 5th and 6th grade, I'd give it to my professor, and I'd be like, "Read this. It's 17 pages long. Like it's totally. I'm trying to get it published." It's like, no, shut up, kid. But they were always super supportive of it, and they're like, "Yeah, way to go! Like let's laminate it." And it's like, "Oh, yeah, that'll be awesome."
The power of lamination.
But I could always tell people didn't. They were supporting you not in a condescending way, but in a way they're like, "Yeah, I'm supposed to support you because I'm your teacher." Or I'm your parent. I'm supposed to support you with whatever you're doing. Like, that's how I always felt.
Okay.
And then in 8th grade, I got this project, and I was supposed to write like a 1,000-page paper on like just some business industry. And I asked, instead of writing this paper, could I do something different? Like, I can write, whatever. Can I do something different? He said, well, if you want, you can do like a 500-word video project. Right, and I just did it, and and it was awful, and I still have it, but it's terrible, and I'm just like, and I think I did it on the mill, like in Jackman. I was just like, trucks come from Canada to Maine, and they put this much wood on this truck. It wasn't a specific number. I just said this much, like, and I just pointed at a truck, like it wasn't good. But as an 8th grader who just at the time, 8th graders are doing a lot cooler things now, but as just some 8th grader who did this at the time. It was kind of impressive because you were working with like this really old school tape and not a great camera and the most basic editing software ever. Like,
oh sure,
I didn't have access to anything, and I was kind of impressed with how it came out. People were like, you should do that. So then I started like a YouTube channel, and my parents bought me a small little Nikon Pic camera, and then I was just running around doing dumbass shit on YouTube,
and it was fun.
And it was fun. So I just kind of fell into it, and then I got obsessed with YouTube channels and YouTube personalities, which was becoming big when I was in middle school.
Right.
So I paid attention, and I tried to follow trends, and I was just watching, and I was fascinated with people being successful at it. And it wasn't until I got to school where I was like, yeah, I want to do film or video, but I don't have what it takes to do movies. I don't have what it takes to go anywhere. Like, I don't have that talent. I don't possess it. So I went to school expecting to do news, which is it's
at NESCOM.
Yeah, I went to school expecting to walk out of there with that degree and do news, or walk out of that degree and do like weddings. Like basically I went to school to learn how to use a video camera, and that was about it. It only took me about a year until I ended up taking on like some really big projects that I just didn't need to. I took on unnecessarily large projects. And I should also mention that from high school to I did a year at a different school at Kennebec Valley Community College. Okay. And it was like the most depressing year of my life. Like, it was the worst year of my life. I moved away from home. I was at a school that was like a technical school, and they taught, like, they didn't have dorms, so I was off campus. I was 2 hours away from my family. The school had, most of the people that went to the school were just grown-ups who like lost their jobs, and they were just deciding what they were going to do and relearning a trade.
Right. So they weren't even your age.
Yeah, so they weren't even my age, so I couldn't even go hang out with anybody. So it was like really hard. And at that time, I also lost my passion for video. So I spent a year just playing video games. I didn't do anything. I had like wicked insomnia and depression, and that's who I was, bored. I didn't, when I was in high school, I was working 5 days a week for my father, and then I went to like every other weekend that year. So when I got to NESCOM, and then I was around people my own age, and I was having fun, it only took me about a year to bounce back and be like, I am busy all the time. And I feel better than I did before. And I feel like that stress should be affecting me in a really negative way, but it wasn't. There was something satisfying about it.
Yeah.
And then I took on these massive projects that I just like, oh, you have to do a 2-minute thing for a final. And I'm like, nah, I'm going to do a 20-minute thing for a final. And I'm going to work really hard on it for way too long. And it's like, at the end of the day, it wasn't amazing, but I felt good doing it. So I realized, I really enjoy producing and directing these things and writing stories and writing my own stories and telling them in a visual way. Because it's, to me, people read Harry Potter and then like, all the books ruin the movie ruined the book. But I was always in the mindset, like, I read one Harry Potter book, and the book ruined the movie for me because I was just upset with the movie the whole time, and I felt like the movie was so much cooler than the book. Like, I've always been visually attracted to visuals.
Yep.
And I think the world kind of is right now.
Yeah.
So I went from a passion of storytelling really young to just choosing how I tell stories. It was a trajectory set from, like, really young, but the field I entered was chosen at 8th grade. And everything I did from that moment on was in that field. Like, I've never really had a rough time of finding out what I wanted to do or even finding a job. Or like, I've always just kind of...
It's because you keep yourself busy.
I keep myself stupid busy. Like, even right now,
you do.
Every single decision I make in my life...
Stupid busy.
I guess that's a compliment. Every decision I make in my life is with the achievement... It was with, like, I'm not going to do anything unless it has potential, even if only 0.0005% to get me to an end goal. And at the end goal, I want to make movies. So it's like, I'm not going to take that job for free where I drive to Canada for 5 minutes and drop a dude off at the airport. Unless the dude's maybe he's got some ties to, like, a film crew in Ontario, then I'll do it. It's like, I'll do it just about anything. And so because of that mindset, now it's like I talk to, like, everybody I can because you never know who's going to be able to help you. Now it's like when I make movies, I'm like, oh, yeah, dude, I know a carpenter. Because all of a sudden, I could have talked to that carpenter in Dairy Queen once. Like, and I have his business card. Like, and it's exactly what you said. Meeting people and making connections and trying to...
It's incredible.
To build up to where I am. So I guess you were 100% correct.
Oh, thank you.
100%.
I love hearing that I'm right.
It's just cool that we both feel the same way, but have way different stories of how we got to kind of where we are. And I mean, a little bit different ages. Like, when you got to where you wanted to be,
I get it.
It was different than...
Thanks. Whatever.
I did not say it.
I want to say it.
I was just lucky and I got it right off.
Lordy.
So, if there was somebody who finds himself in a similar situation where they're bored all the time, or they're not doing much, like, how would you go? Is there a way that you would go about motivating somebody to try and be like, hey, get off the couch and just do something that you want to do, even if it's stupid?
Sometimes just exposing something to kids, could certainly spark that inspiration. I got my kids a video camera for Christmas because they really like the YouTube stuff, and so they're always using that, and who knows where that can go. Maybe they'll be YouTube stars or whatever. But, when it comes to motivation, it's one of those things that's like, you can't tell someone to be motivated. It's in you. I think your motivation, it's always been in you. Your drive, your need to get to that next place.
I do have a real need to have a next step. I guess the same thing you said earlier. I need to know what's next and where I'm going to go.
Yeah. I think, I don't know if it's my age or maybe what I've gone through and I'm just kind of getting tired of it, or I don't know. But I think I'm finally at a place where I'm slowing down. My motivation, I don't know if maybe it's changing gears as to where that motivation's being placed. For so long it was career. I got to find my job, what I'm destined to do, And I feel like it's been thrown outward for so long that I almost want to hold on to it for myself, for my family, but really for me. And that's been sort of this turning point in the past year for me. Also coming to grips with music. Like, I did music for so long, and
you had a band.
I had a band. Yeah. I had multiple bands. I was out playing shows. I would do solo stuff by myself. I was on Dan Cashman's show, and there came a point when I had an anxiety attack on stage, and it kind of set me up for, first of all, to understand, like, the limits that were put upon me and not that I put upon myself. Sort of this helplessness. Like, I had no control over that panic attack. It just came on, and that was that. And every show after that, I felt it. And that's essentially what stopped the band. Because I just had this fear that I was going to have another panic attack on stage. And it's been kind of rough coming to terms with, if I got in another band, would that happen again? But there's also another part of me that's almost like, I don't need music anymore. Like, why I had it to begin with was to fill that loneliness, to be that friend that I could give my heart and my soul to and write it down, and it's something, and it becomes something beautiful with a song or whatever.
Sounds like that's your family.
That's my family now. That's my husband. My husband's the person that I talk to and who comforts me and who listens. And music, I don't even think about it anymore. It was sort of my therapy, and now I feel like I don't need it.
Well, therapy's not meant to be forever.
Maybe. Yeah, I was thinking about that like a couple days ago. Like, it kind of dawned on me, like, I think I'm okay with music being gone for now. And maybe it'll come back later in for another purpose. I don't know, but for originally what I was intending. Right? That was fun. It was certainly fun. I mean, I love punk rock, so that was my jam.
So, if we were going to summarize, summarizing is your strong suit? Or is it it's not your strong suit, judging by that, 25-minute story you told?
What?
Summarizing?
No. Oh, no.
But if we were going to summarize.
Okay. I'm going to think really hard about this.
What the conversation was, and maybe who we wanted to help, or our end goal of the conversation, because it was supposed to be kind of a boredom,
right.
How do you combat boredom, but it ended up being kind of like this, it'll work out, you're where you're supposed to be, like, sometimes things change, people change, interests change, like, it's perfectly okay. I think that's an end message that I'm really comfortable with ending on.
It did meander, didn't it, from our original topic?
It did.
That's terrible.
But it's conversation. That's what a conversation is, man.
Yeah.
It's like,
I'm not good with point A's to point B's. As you notice, I do a lot of this, and wherever it takes me is where it goes. I'm sorry.
Nothing to apologize for.
Sorry.
It's one of the reasons I do this podcast is for conversation and learning things I didn't know and figuring out if the conversation it's not just a point A to a point B, it's the journey. It's how you get there with a conversation. So if it had a specific journey, then I would already know all the things you're going to say. So it's not, I like conversations, and I like having people on the podcast and talking to people. And the big reason I do this is because I want to learn stuff I didn't know. And I think
you're
that
never done learning.
On top of learning a lot about you, I also just kind of reaffirm some things for myself. And I think that anybody listening at home might be like, oh,
you can identify with
yeah,
that.
there's something in there that can resonate with people. And that's what I love about conversations, that it's not just you talking to a mic. It's not like I'm not here. Like, we're having a conversation.
Right.
And everything we say can resonate with somebody.
Sure.
So.
Okay.
Let's hope this resonates with somebody. I hope that the message kind of sticks. Even if we don't really know what that message was. Like.
Well, we could even address that. Like, this started out as boredom, but it's really funny that it's become something more of, have faith that you'll end up where you're supposed to be, even if you think it's something different. Just come out and say it. We started with boredom, but
it's okay to wear those different hats and try different things and pursue different opportunities. It's
whatever inspires you, whatever takes you out of that boredom.
Even if it changes. That's what I'd say.
Yeah. Okay.
So, I'm going to finish my drink, and that pretty much symbolizes that the conversation is going to be coming to an end.
Okay.
But that being said, we still need to figure out whether or not you're better at telepathy now that your drink is finished. But your drink's not finished.
All right. Well, I got to drive after this, so I don't want to chug it.
You think you're ready?
Yeah.
You think you're going to be better?
I hope so. Good Lord. Fish, squirrel, completely different.
You were pretty close, honestly. That's like not that fish, squirrel aren't that far off. Mimosa
kind
and
of
button
are.
are super far.
Yeah. I almost brought the microphone to me like it's my job. Okay. Mimosa.
Did not spell that right. All right. One word.
Uh-huh.
What is it?
What could it be?
Mm-hmm.
I think I got worse at this.
Probably, because you were pretty close the first time.
Oh no. High expectations though.
I'm really focusing. I'm saying the word in my head to
sorry.
you.
So you already have okay. It can't be. I don't think you could say that. Stop it, Ethan. You're not supposed to say that. I'm kidding.
Just staring intently and repeating the word over and over in my
Okay,
head.
all right. Let me listen to you.
Don't patronize me, Sarah.
I'm thinking. Okay, the first thing that came to my mind was mountains. And then Skittles. And I was like, he can't say Skittles because Skittles is like,
Brandon?
that's a brand name. You can't say that on a
I can get
podcast.
sued. Arithmetic. Yep.
Show it to the people so you can be embarrassed in your spelling.
I did show it
Thank
the
you.
first time. I actually did this time
you
because
did.
I was like, oh, that's smart. That's why I have a video camera in here. Sorry, audio people who can't see it.
Okay.
We're saying it out loud.
All right, I think
That's
we're
cool.
even now. So I think
So
mine's undetermined.
You were far. Wait, you still got to do me. Because again, you could be better at.
Okay. Oh, so we're competing at our telepathy.
Oh, I wasn't competing. I'm just all of these. The top section is how you read my telepathy. Mm-hmm. How like you can read it, and then the second section is how you can send.
Okay.
Like receiving or sending. Receiving, sending, and then sending and bottom. Receiving, sending. So both of these
And
are going to add
alcohol.
up. Yeah. After alcohol, did you get better at telepathy?
Okay.
So that's the question. I won't look at the board.
All right.
Or listen to the board. Once
Okay,
again,
okay.
I'm going to sit here and I'm going to ramble so I can't hear what you're writing. It's like when you're listening to the pin pad on a phone and it's like boop, beep, beep, boop, 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 beep, boop, boop, bop. It's like you can figure out people's phone numbers if you know those
Just
tones.
like that.
All right.
Can you see?
Sasquatch.
Oh my God. That's terrible.
Your reaction. Ice cream. Nope. I got it.
What if it's a Sasquatch? Okay, this is Sasquatch. Sasquatch. And this is him. He's really big, you know. And then he has like an ice cream cone, and it's like
Yeah, Sasquatch with an ice cream cone. Makes perfect sense to me.
Arr. Arr.
Sasquatch
I think you
with
were
an ice cream cone.
I think you were distracted by the Sasquatch and not so much by the ice cream cone. See?
Yeah, he was definitely holding something when I saw him in my head.
Yeah, you were ignoring it though.
Unfortunately, I don't think you got better at it. I think you were better the first round.
Damn it.
Because squirrel and fish were pretty close. So,
All right, so
does consuming one stiff drink of alcohol increase your skill level when performing really specific things? Asterisk, we don't condone the use of alcohol for the purpose of self-improvement. I do not think that one stiff drink of alcohol made you better at telepathy.
no,
I apologize.
you shouldn't apologize because that's just how it was. Those are the facts. You
gonna-
can't apologize about facts.
Have you sign the little right section there?
Okay.
So I have you on my board permanently.
I'm really embarrassed because I thought I could be better.
You thought you were going to nail it? Well, you still have to achieve inner peace
That's right.
before you can get there.
I still gotta see. I didn't do my meditation today. That's why. It's true. I didn't do my white light meditation. See what happens? You're freaked out right now, aren't you?
Freak out? No. I think it's fascinating. I'm really... I spent a very large portion of last year, probably the entirety of last year, figuring out who I was. And so kind of figuring out my spirituality. And I have a lot more I could be learning, but there was just like a couple things I needed to figure out. And I got there. But it was tough.
Yeah.
But
It's never easy.
Yeah.
That's why it's easier to do the things and work on the business and meet the people because that's not in here and always there. Like this is always here, you know?
yeah, so we could have had a whole conversation about this during the podcast, but doing things was a distraction from feeling certain ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was distracting myself. It's a bummer.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing altogether, because I certainly run on stress. Like, stress motivates me. If I didn't get up, 10 minutes before I had to leave the house to be to work, then I wouldn't get to work as fast as I do, because I'm not going to get my ass up before I need to leave, because I need that.
Yeah,
that
so I'm if I have to be
stressing.
at work at like 9, I'm probably gonna set an alarm for like 8.
Uh-huh.
But I'm probably not gonna get out of bed until
Yeah.
I have an 8 and 8:15 and an 8:27 alarm set.
8:27.
Because I needed 3 minutes to stop at Irving for coffee.
Oh, okay. That is totally, I totally understand.
But yeah,
that.
it's like get up, brush teeth, throw clothes on, put shoes on, feed fish, take dog out.
Yeah, but you
run
have that down,
Yeah.
You know how much time that's going to take.
Yeah, it's probably a different.
And that's why you keep hitting the snooze. No, because I get up early enough where nobody else is awake yet.
Oh, really? But it's gotta be surprising though. Like every
What?
day is throwing something different at you. Like you don't.
Oh, well.
Can you have that routine? Like I just mentioned.
Kind of. I mean, when I get up in the morning, I'm the first one awake. So, my morning routine of rushing out the door is just that's always been my routine. But I mean, you have to have routine in order to stay somewhat sane, because if you didn't have some things to keep your time relatively similar, then all hell's gonna break loose, and the baby's gonna have a diaper rash, and this kid's gonna fail at math, and it's just that's how you juggle it all. Is you gotta have routine, and that was not easy to develop for sure.
I don't know. I'm a man of routine. I need that routine.
See, I wasn't like that before kids, and then I was kind of forced into it, which didn't make it any easier to become a mom, because that's already stressful. But
I definitely have those days where it's like my life is so I do try and stick to a routine. Like there's a couple every day I will allow myself like 1 or 2 activities where I'm like, yeah, do whatever you want. If you want to sit on the couch, do that. If you want to go out to eat, do that. I leave a little bit of space open for the what ifs. But after like 3 or 4 weeks of it, sometimes I go home and I just plop down on the couch and I'm like, I'm done. I'm done for a week. I'm just gonna lay here. And I'm not doing anything. And then I come home after work and it's just on the couch and it's rough. So I'm going to conclude the podcast.
sure.
Remember, you can download the podcast for free on iTunes, Spotify, and Libsyn. You can also watch every episode in video form on the YouTube channel, TheMainahMen, and find clips of the podcast on our Facebook page and our Instagram. Someone's knocking at my door. Someone just walked in my apartment. I'm going to figure out who it is. Deuces. It was so nice having you on, Sarah.
Thank you.